I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, September the 16th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin 300 LA is effective and economical, and it's your go-to antibiotic for a wide range of cattle diseases and infections. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Early week fears have been averted here late in the week. We're not scared of near as many things. We were able to get by, at least for a while, on the railroad strike. The railroad workers, with help from the White House administration and some people that came in there to kind of console the negotiations, the railroad workers agreed not to strike while the votes are being tallied over the next several weeks on this agreement that they have tentatively agreed upon. They're going to get more money. They're initially going to get a 14% raise. They're going to get some days that they can use whenever they need to be away for health reasons or family reasons or something like that. That's something that they've never had before, and that seems like a no-brainer, but they're not just going to be on call all the time. Of course, that's why they make as much money as they do, is because they're on call most of the time, but at least going to have a few days that they can use for personal reasons, for one reason or another there. But we're glad that kind of got averted. We're glad that the railroad workers got appeased. We're glad that we didn't hold up freight and marketing in the whole United States and export too. And so that's a good thing, and so we're not worried about that anymore. Early in the week, we're worried about the WASDE estimates on your grains, on the corn. Of course, they lowered them, so we're not going to have as much. But as we work through the week after that, our corn is now several cents lower than it was before we had those estimates come out. So we're not worried about that anymore. Your Southern Plains gained $1. So $1 higher in Kansas and Texas for the most part at 142. They've almost closed the gap on the Northern Plains premium that they've been getting here basically all summer. The Northern Plains sold largely steady to weak this week, and so that's how it's gotten closed. It hadn't gotten closed so much for selling the cattle the same. The Northern Plains hadn't been able to gain any ground. Southern Plains gained some ground in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Your Northern Plains has lost $1 or $2, and now we're down here to just a $2 or $3 spread, where we were at $8 to $10 here a couple of months ago. So that's kind of closed, and you would think that it would be wider than that because the cattle are not grading very well. Your best grading cattle are in the Northern Plains. We've got these weights really heavy. I mean, all-time record heavy for September, but the cattle are still not grading very well. Of course, they're, and historically they're grading okay, but they're not grading as well as over the last couple of years because our cattle got backed up during the pandemic. They got overfed, they got obese, and as your packers were working through those, they really liked the carcasses. They don't even care if they're yield grade 4s and 5s anymore, as long as they have a lot of marbling and have a high quality grade, because they can charge so much for them, so much more for them, and it's so easy to sell. But these nutritionists have had to have backed off on the percentage of corn that they're giving these cattle, because there hasn't been a lot of places really nationwide to hold cattle outside of feedlots. Yes, of course, on our summer grass deals, they might have kept them a little bit longer, made them weigh a little bit more, but that's not the cattle that we're grading right now. But the cattle we're grading right now, we weren't able to hold those cattle outside of feedlots because there was no place to put them. And so it's got to be what they're feeding them. We're not using nearly as many beta agonists as we used there a few years ago. I think they do have something that's similar to that that's approved for usage, but not as widely used as what they were used here a few years ago, and people are kind of scared of those right now. So it's got to be the rations they're feeding them, and they're just trying to find something that's cheaper to put in there to keep their cost of gains competitive. But let's talk about your board. On Thursday, October live cattle was up $1.27. It's a nice recovery there at 145.62, and that's going to be a premium to where your 5-area feeding region weighted average is. Of course, that's for October. December is up $1.27 at 151.32. So they're thinking that we're indeed going to cross 150. Let me know when that happens. I still want to see it. Back months on live cattle futures up 22 cents to up 90 cents. So a gainer on your live cattle. Feeder cattle have been a big downer this week. We've lost nearly $5 on our real-time index this week. We had a couple of really hard down days on feeder cattle. We had a pretty good up day there on Wednesday, but on Thursday, September was down 62 cents at 179.35. October down a half a dollar at 180.92. Your back months were mixed. Closer up, we're down 20. Your farthest out up as much as 87 cents. Corn was down again 4 3/4 cents at 677.5. Beans down 3.5 cents at 14.51.5. Fat cattle trade continued on Thursday, started on Wednesday, continued on Thursday. They still have not done enough business anywhere to wrap it up. So they're going to have some more trade on Friday. We've had light movement negotiated wise for the last 3 weeks now. These packers are short bought. They still need it. Now, if we don't do something to stop the bleeding on this negotiated trade, eventually they won't need it at all, and then we'll just be like the hogs. But they still need to fill gaps in there in a negotiated manner. But we have not seen near the volumes in any of our 5 areas. Of course, we don't get to see what Colorado does, but this week to keep that up. And they didn't buy enough 2 or 3 weeks ago to fill that gap for the 2 to 4 week delivery. But you look at Iowa, they had confirmed sales of 1,800s all on Thursday. Only 10,600 head confirmed for the week. Live sales 143 to 144. It's about what they've been all week. Dress sales at 226. Nebraska had 8,400 on Thursday. That's a little more like it, but still only 15,500 for the week. They're usually about double that. But live sales, mostly 143. Somebody puked cattle at 141. 174 head of heifers. They puked them at 141 in Nebraska. Why somebody does that, I don't know. But it still gets thrown in there. But largely 143 live. Dress sales 226 to 227. Kansas 3,500 head confirmed on Thursday. Only 7,600 for the week. Almost everything live was at 142. They did have a lot of negotiated grid turned in so far this week in Kansas. 23,300 head. 3 times what we have on pure negotiated sales turned in on negotiated grid. It was all turned in at 142. Telling me that the guys that were taking the negotiated grid, they must think that their cattle are going to grade pretty well. And they're going after some kickers there. And maybe your packers are doing that because they want some of those better grading cattle. But still, a lot of negotiated grid. Negotiated grid's a good way to sell cattle because you do get to negotiate. But for the most part, your feedlots don't negotiate. They just take whatever it is that they're given on a negotiated grid. If you're going to use negotiated grid, negotiate on it. So, but still, everything that was turned in on negotiated grid was 142 also. Texas, 3,900 head on Thursday, just 8,600 head for the week. Pretty much all 142, but somebody puked some cattle at 140. You know, it may be the same guy that puked cattle in Nebraska at 141, but they puked some cattle in Texas at 140, over 100 head. But they had over 4,000 cattle turned in negotiated grid in Texas also. If we get Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, that's how your packers will get around it, is through negotiated grid, because that's one of the approved systems. So they'll get around it. then the onus will go back on your cattle feeders. If you want more for your cattle, you got to negotiate for them, and that's the whole deal. Got to negotiate for them. That's why we're in the bind we're in, is because some of the bigger outfits, 25, 30 years ago, they got tired of negotiating. They thought they were too big in the pants to negotiate like everybody else. Started signing sweetheart deals, selling their cattle off what everybody else was fighting tooth and nail to get, and they didn't have to fool negotiating, and then they could just turn their cattle in as they were done. And that's why we're in the bind we're in. We've got to negotiate for ourselves, people, if we want to continue to have some say in the market, especially in the Southern Plains. Box beef cutout values were lower again. That took a hunk out of it this week. Choice cuts down $1.13 at $250, $234. Selects down 16 cents is all at $229.95. Slaughter running at a really good clip. Up through Thursday, 504,000 head harvested this week. Can't compare it with last week because of the Labor Day Monday, but compared to the same week a year ago, that's 33,000 more. Very significant, and these packers are, they got these chain speeds going. Despite the cattle not grading very well, and despite the, not having, ample cattle on the show list to buy. But you would think that these feedlots, the few that sell, and I'm on their team, my heart goes out to them, the few guys that negotiate, you'd think they would dig in a little bit harder and gain some ground right here. We're due some market position, but you have to ask for it. I don't know how they ever got their first kiss. Actual slaughter for the week ending 2 weeks ago had your average dressed steer carcass weight 904 pounds. That's steady with the last report, 2 pounds lighter than a year ago's numbers, and they were all-time record highs. So, talk about what else is going. National Beef Wire is the website that you guys need to start going to see what your markets are doing, to see your latest news in your beef and cattle industry. National Beef Wire is the best place to find this report on a daily basis. National Beef Wire has a electronic newsletter that it's free and you can sign up for it. It'll be sitting in your inbox every day. It'll have this report in it every day. It'll have the latest strings of cattle that's sold in sale barns all over the country every day. It'll have the latest news that's affecting your cattle and beef markets every day. You need to look into nationalbeefwire.com. If you're interested in one of these National Beef Wire TVs, which is like your commodity screens that you've been used to, except for on steroids, and a lot more information than you can find anywhere else. If you've got a place like a feedlot office or a commodity office where you get some traffic, you could probably get one of those things for free if you get in touch with us. And if you've got a sale barn, if you'll share your information with us, if you've got automated clerking and you'll share your information with us, that's where I get all the stick out sales. We got over 200 sale barns pumping information to us automatically. We're not going into your system to get it. You're pushing it out to us. It's not going to hurt your system. I keep hearing these people that don't know anything about technology saying that they don't want us coming in there and messing up their system. You're pushing it to us. We're not going in and getting it, guys. We wouldn't hurt you. I wouldn't hurt you for nothing. But if you'll share that information with us, you've got a sale barn, we'll hook you up with one of these National Beef Wire screens for free. You can put it in your lobby, put it in your offices, whatever you want to do. Talk about your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Thursday sitting at 176.27, down 66 cents. And like I said, we've lost nearly $5 on that thing this week, and your markets are showing it. They're lower everywhere. Talk about some big sales happening early in the week. Russell Livestock Auction in Russell, Iowa's got a big sale on Monday. They just had that Labor Day special. But this Monday, come back with a lot of those similar type of stick out, really premier consignments of new crop calves and yearlings. Quality will be absolutely outstanding. Check out Russell Livestock. You can find them at dvauction.com. Call in there ahead and tell them you're interested in bidding and get approved. You can bid right there. Call in there to an order buyer or get to Russell, Iowa on Monday. Here today on Friday, Nevada Livestock Marketing in Fallon, Nevada is having their first seasonal feeder cattle special. Gonna have 1,500 to 2,000 of those hard desert cattle there. I have a really nice sale. I'm not out there. I will start going out there here the next time. The next special that they have on October the 7th, gonna have a big run, and they're also gonna have a political rally for Adam Laxalt, who is the GOP nominee for Senate in Nevada. And word is that we're going to have a special guest there that's actually been there before that we're excited about seeing again. I can't confirm that, but if you're in the area and you would like to come to a pretty neat event, you can come to the Feeder Cattle Special at Nevada Livestock Marketing and also see that rally to elect Adam Laxalt, GOP nominee for Senate in Nevada, and he sure needs the votes. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas, 4,300 head there. Market was pretty good. You know, they kind of took it on the chin last week. The board was up pretty good on Wednesday. Sold cattle mostly steady to firm in spots in Pratt, Kansas on Thursday, and a pretty good sale. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, a little bit lighter run for them, 2,500 head there, mostly steady to $3 lower. They did have a stick out sale on some big cattle there in Salina. 56 head of steers weighed 968 at 179.85. Talk about some other places. How about Enid Livestock Market? Dakota Davis there in Enid, Oklahoma. He had 1,900 feeders there at his sale. The mausoleum that he's making work, guys, and he has got that thing bought, and he is going to be there to stay, and I'm proud of him. He's doing a good job, and he's marketing cattle up in that part of the country for those guys right there local in Enid, Oklahoma. I looked at his automated marker report. He had 628 head of 8-weight steers in Enid, Oklahoma. They averaged 844 pounds with a weighted average price of $176.42. That's the market on about an 8.5 weight steer. I had 628 head of them, average 176 almost and a half. That's $3 lower. That's the market. Good test of the market there in Enid, Oklahoma. Talk about some individual quotes. How about Mocan Livestock Market in Butler, Missouri? My friend the Herzogs there. They've also got their meat market there. Stop in and see them. They do a good job. That is a family operation. They sold 53 head of steer calves, weighed 449 at $2.24 on Thursday there in Butler, Missouri. How about some other individual quotes? Mitchell Livestock Marketing there under new ownership had a big sale there, and some big feeders stick out. 50 head of 1,081 pound steers weighing nearly 11 at 165 and a quarter. How about Fairview, Illinois Sale Barn? I mean, we get them from all over the country there, guys, but they share the information there with me. They're not automated through our system, but they still share their information with me, which I'm glad to get any kind of quotes I can. Fairview, Illinois Sale Barn, the Eskridge and Carrison cattle there, 65 head of steers weighed 811 pounds in Illinois, bring 187. But your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day was in southwest Iowa. Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa, had 4,000 head of cattle there. The market was $4 to $8 higher than the last good test, which was 2 weeks ago, but on a much improved offering there, and had some really stick-out consignments there. Look at this automated marker report from Clarinda, Iowa. You see they had well tested in many, many weights. How about 484 head of 6-weight steers, average 641 with a weighted average price of 196.18. 402 head of 7-weight steers, average 743, average 186.49. 312 head of 8-weight steers averaged 836 at 186.13. 257 head of 9-weight steers had a weighted average of 926 pounds and 178.01. Look at a couple weights of heifers. 210 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 748 with a weighted average price of 170.80. 222 head of 9-weight heifers averaged 939 at 163.89. Also had our stick out best sale of the day, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Clarinda, Iowa. 62 head of steers weighed 824 at 190.35. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.